friends, and welcome back to Stronger Every Day. My name is Chrissy. It's great to see you all. Today's video is going to be a little bit about, so what does depression and anxiety or mental illness look like? I feel like as a society, not only do we stigmatize the mental illnesses, which we've talked about, there's more than 200, but we stigmatize our impression of what a person looks like who struggles with that. And so what does a person look like who struggles with that? Me, right? I have major depression disorder and anxiety. I've spoken a video previously that I feel like those have kind of lifted after 28 years, but I'm almost afraid to speak it out. Like, it's almost like it's too good to be true, you know? And so it's realizing that it isn't necessarily the person who's dressed all in black, who hasn't shaved, who hasn't brushed their hair, brushed their teeth, who's frazzled, who's mumbling to themselves. Or that's our impression, who's disheveled in appearance, right? That's our impression of what mental health, what it's somebody who struggles with mental health looks like. So let's bust through some of those barriers, because what it looks like is me. What it looks like is your friend, your best friend, your neighbor, people that sit with you at church, your pastor, your doctor, your pharmacist, your fireman, police, EMS, dispatch, rescue, people in the military. That's what it looks like. It looks like regular, everyday people. Not only do we need to stop the stigma of mental illness in general, but also of our perception of what somebody with mental illness looks like. Some interesting statistics that I found online: 48 to 73%, depends on the survey. Surveys are wildly different online, no matter what topic you search, actively work. They have a job. They work a 9 to 5, a shift job, whatever kind of job it is. So the majority work. Most of those were in the 60s and 70% range. So most people who have mental illness still work. There are some who can't work. There are some who are temporarily not working to work on bettering themselves and their health. But most people who have mental illness have a job. They have a 9 to 5. And even those that don't have a paying source of income, a lot of those people are home taking care of the family. And I've said this before, that I struggle a lot of times to see my worth now that I am a homemaker, because I'm not getting a physical paycheck attached to my worth. So my value, I had to really work on that, of, you know, there is no price tag for everything that I do here for my family, my extended family, my home, my homestead, all of our animals. All of these things have to be nurtured and cared for. And there's not a price you can put on that, but it's still, it's something that I deal with in the back of my mind as well. You're not getting a paycheck to show your value and show your worth, so therefore you must not be worthy. And that's so far from the truth. 1 in 6.8 people experience mental health problems. Like I said, it's your friend, it's your best friend, it's someone sitting next to you in church, it's someone sitting next to you at a restaurant, it's someone sitting next to you on the subway, someone in your school. I think we stigmatize people because we don't, those of us that don't get it, so they must look and act a certain way. That way we know, right, to steer clear of those people. And we get characterized as those people that are crazy. And I don't even get upset at that anymore. It's lack of knowledge and lack of understanding. And there's 2 ways you can go about it. You can either go at someone with anger and resentment and hostility. That's never going to change someone's opinion, right, of anything. Not mental illness, not anything. Or you can sit down and have a conversation with them in love once you've prayed about it and God's opened their heart to it. And the 2 of you can have a conversation about whatever topic that might be. 1 in 4 adults suffer from a diagnosable mental disorder in any given year. 1 in 4. You're not alone. These are the ones that admitted it. So I think it's actually a lot higher, but these are the ones that admitted this. I know I did one on pastors, and the statistics are all over the place. It depends on what site you go to, and I guess what group of people they targeted to get their answers. It's so wildly all over the place. One says 75% of pastors reported being extremely stressed or highly stressed. 90% said they feel fatigued and worn out every single week. 70% had lower self-esteem than when they entered the ministry. 70% constantly fight depression. 77% feel they do not have a good marriage. But then on another site, it was talking about mental and emotional health had that 74% said they never suffered from even one depressive episode. So, you know, the statistics are all over the place. I feel like it's very hard to get, if you're going to go to Small Town USA and do a sample for a survey and call that conclusive. I mean, living in Small Town USA is a lot different than living in LA or living in New York. It's just different. You know, you could go to Montana. That group of pastors or that group of people that you're interviewing is going to be different. You really need to spread your research out to all different kinds of people and all different places, right? Rural versus urban and everything in between that. You can't just kind of, so some of these statistics are wildly all over the place, but still I think it's good. So, you know, we stigmatize mental illness, that it's scary, that people that have mental illness are dangerous. And my personal, what I've seen in my lifetime of dealing with this for coming up on 29 years is that people that struggle with mental illness that I have been around would not do anything to hurt someone else to make them feel like we feel. I do understand that sometimes there is a process where you are not actually in control per se of your thoughts in your mind, and so your actions is like when you're extremely intoxicated, and I don't mean you're buzzed, but you are plastered drunk or you are high on drugs. You may not remember what you did the night before. I do recognize that. However, far and few between are those cases, and people that I have been around that have struggled with mental illness, we don't want anyone to feel what we have felt, and we would certainly never try to intentionally hurt others. You know, every tragedy, it's always, well, why did they do it? Did they have mental illness? I mean, obviously, if you're going to commit a major crime like that, you do struggle with some form of mental illness. A sane person does not blow up airplanes. A sane person does not stab people. A sane person does not go in and shoot up a school or a movie theater or a shopping mall or a university. Like, you just, sane people who are having sane thoughts don't do that. But then you stigmatize every single person, and it's not just mental illness. If you think about, I use this example all the time, police. One bad decision from one police officer ruins it for every police officer in America and abroad. You know, one doctor who was practicing without a license, or who did some bad surgery on somebody, that ruins it for every doctor in that field, right? If you're a school teacher, I've used this example. We had this not long ago, that we had a teacher who was charged with sexual assault on children. That doesn't mean every teacher is bad. You know, I feel like I heard this example the other day. We have people that talk about Christians. They're all hypocrites. Well, why do we judge God based on people's actions? We judge God as he's not real because people that follow him are not perfect. Well, so if you're, I forget exactly how he phrased it. So like if you get in your car and it doesn't start, is that the dealer's fault now? We don't like any Ford or Chevy or BMW, Lexus, whatever. We don't like any of those now because our car didn't start. He used a much better example and I can't really remember, but Christians, God gets blamed for every single one of his children's decisions. Like, your kids make decisions. Are you to blame for every single decision? Now, yes, you need to be a good parent. You need to be an involved parent. But kids have free will just as we do. And, you know, sometimes the parents are lacking, but sometimes they're not. We really just target people. And we do that so much so with mental illness that it's hard to rebound from that stigma ever, let alone when we keep throwing images of what mental health looks like, feels like, sounds like, and then we come on and judge, which is particularly difficult when Christians come on and judge, because the Bible clearly tells us, and we're going to talk about this in another video, if you have a brother or sister in Christ who you believe is doing something outside of God's will, you should go to them in private with a godly heart, with love for that person that you see them going down a path and you want to help them. You're actively caring and praying for them, and you correct them in private. And then if that doesn't work, then you take two with you. And if that doesn't work, then you go before the church. And then if that doesn't work, so I've yet to have one person in my entire life come to me in a godly, loving manner that has condemned me as a Christian for struggling with depression and anxiety. It's always full of judgment, hate, resentment, anger. It's full of misunderstandings, misinterpretations. It's full of pride and hate. And that's not my God. That's not God. That's carnal Christians. And there is a huge difference. You know, there were Pharisees in God's time, there are Pharisees today, and they actively sought to kill Jesus. So pulling every Christian into that, well, they're a bunch of hypocrites. Well, I would rather hang out with a bunch of hypocrites and go to hell, right? So it's a stigma that we have to change as far as mental health. Really, any stigma is bad, but there's just millions and millions of people that are struggling with mental health. And so it's trying to push past what people think and actually getting knowledge and communication and love out there to people so that we can further understand each other. You know, there's a lot to be learned in listening to people that struggle with mental illness and listening to those who don't. And if we could come together in the middle, so life would be so much better, right? But of course, we're busy, we're tired, and so rather than learn, we judge and criticize and condemn, and that's pretty much why we're in the society that we're in today in every aspect of life. So this one's going to be short and sweet. I hope this helps. Maybe break some stigmas, maybe help you understand that you're not alone, that whether you have the ability to go to work every day or whether you're a stay-at-home mom or dad, whether you work a full-time job or 2 full-time jobs or 3 full-time jobs, whatever that looks like, that every people around you, if you're in a room of 12 people, 3 of those people probably struggle with some form of mental illness. So let's really try to work on our hearts and stopping the stigma, and let's be open to have conversations with people that don't see eye to eye with us so that we can learn from each other. So I hope this video helps, friends. I end every video this way. It is always my heart and hope that you feel this more than anything else in the video. God loves you. I love you. Your family loves you. Your friends love you. And we need you here. We'll see you in the next one, friends. Bye.